For a second.
Games and nice cuts.
If you want to.
Possible that there was a commercial.
Thank you.
You know there's nowhere I'd rather be, girl. We have so much fun when we're together.
Oh, how do you know
Sipping
that?
on the coffee
She told me. Oh, what?
in the afternoon. Take you to the bar, to our secret room. Oh, when I look back now, girl, I realize how precious it was. And I wish it could be young once more. Everything was new. Hugging and kissing, I can't keep away. Yeah, 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 I want to be with you every single day.